The drilling, what would you do? So, to begin, I am the WS. It has been about 2 months since DD. My FS caught me in a one-night fun. Yup, literally caught me in the act. EOP was a good friend of ours. There was a pretty intense argument that night, and since then I have tried to tell him how sorry I am, that I made a mistake and that I want us to work this out. I have 3 children from a previous marriage, but my FP and I have been together for over 6 years. Since DD, I have been staying in the house, we have continued to work together, we run a small business together, and have still had some moments of laughter and real happiness. But we are still on the roller coaster of emotions, with my FP seesawing between being there and wanting me to leave. Recently, I had to take my kids 4 hours away to catch a plane, and before I left, my FP asked me to not come back. I have stayed away, but after a few days, asked him to think about working things out. At the time, he said okay, and I have given him a few days to sort his emotions out. My questions are, other than being as honest as possible, although, at this stage, he won't talk about the real stuff, and giving him as much space as he needs. What else can I do? I have cut off all contact with Opus. I don't want to keep harassing him, but want to keep in contact with him, and miss him painfully. He, at this stage, won't go to counseling, but I have suggested it, and have been seeing a psych myself. However, finances are a strain. I have books that I have read and would like him to read. Would it be pushing it to suggest he does? Before I start, I know I am going to get some hard criticism, but trust me, you can't say anything worse than I have said to myself 100 times over the last 2 months. I am 42, FS is 43. Why? I have soul-searched this a lot and done as much reading as I can as well. I guess we have never had an easy relationship. FS has a history of depression, and I guess I felt needed by being his rock. When we first became involved, we had an amazing bonding life. He taught me so much. However, antidepressant medication had an effect on that part of our lives. However, I stood by him, and didn't nag him to sleeping with me and was as patient as I could imagine anyone being. After several years, FS stopped taking, under medical supervision, meds. However, our bonding life didn't improve. Whenever I tried to broach the subject, he would say that he was just too lazy for bonding. We would average 4 to 6 times a year. I guess after a few years, it became hard not to personalize and internalize that. We have a history of burying our heads in the sand rather than discuss things, and this became one of those things. My self-esteem hit an all-time low earlier this year when I lost my job. My income was always some help in running our business, and without it, money was tighter than ever. I felt FS blamed me and held that against me rather than support me as I had for several years. I guess I felt undervalued and worthless and unwanted. So, the one-night stand became my pathetic excuse to validate myself, to feel attractive. Pathetic excuses, and unworthy of an amazing man, but all I have. And for this relationship, I was married for 8 years, but was with him for about 14 years. He is the father of my children. It was an emotionally abusive relationship, and I did cheat on him with my current FS. As soon as it happened, I left my marriage, and have been with current guy ever since. I told my former husband about it straight away and left the same day. This is the only time I have cheated in this relationship. I understand that you have a low opinion of me, and do not blame you, but your opinion of my lack of remorse is incorrect. I have never been sorrier in my life. I have ripped this man's heart out and ruined a friendship. Do I hate myself? Hell yes. Have I cried for weeks on end? Yes. Have I stopped eating and relating with friends or been able to have a sane thought ever since? The list got on. I couldn't feel sorrier. I have been trying to give him as much space as he needs, while trying to get him to talk about what happened from time to time. At this stage he doesn't want to talk about the event, or our future, if we have one. I have told him that even though I don't have any right to ask, that I would like to save this marriage if he is willing. I have tried to direct him to websites such as this, and although he seems interested, I don't think he is ready yet. Up until this week, we were still sharing our home, and even our bed. We still speak daily, and I let him know every day how sorry I am. Sometimes he doesn't want to hear, sometimes he listens. I have purchased a few books on coping with this type of trauma and have told him that if he is willing, that I would like him to come to see my psych. On days where he doesn't want to go to work, I will go and do the jobs by myself. I guess anything I can to show him that I am sorry and that I do want to are. Up until yesterday, I haven't had a mobile phone for around 12 months. I dropped it and smashed the screen. Haven't been able to get it fixed. If I needed to send a text, I would use BS's phone. So, no texting, or any physical contact at all. I was not, and am not in any way attracted to the OM. The night in question involved a lot of alcohol. I am not using that as an excuse, just stating a fact. Yes, I am preparing myself for the attack. Sorry, as an Aussie, it is in my nature to deflect with humor. It had been a weekend binge, starting on the Sat night with a BBQ with a few friends. I spent most of the night cooking and feeding kids, guests, and making sure everyone was having a good time. Then a great friend of mine turned up, and I spent the majority of the night talking to her. My BS and I went to bed after everyone had left, about 2 a.m. The next day, some of the revelers turned up in the morning, and seeing as so much food was left over, I cooked everyone breakfast. The guests and my BS started drinking about 9 a.m. I stayed sober to pick people up, drop off cars for a few hours. About 11 a.m., my jobs were all done, and I had my first drink. Many hours later, the drinkers had dwindled down to just me and 2 other people. I am not sure when it got down to just myself and the OM, but I do recall having a stupid drunken attempt and a D&M with him about some of the problems BS and I were having. Yes, I was stupid for putting myself in that situation, but clearly wasn't thinking straight. I am not even sure how or at what point this conversation turned physical, and I certainly had never fantasized that it would. But somehow it did. I can't change that, as much as I would like to. BS heard our dog barking and walked outside. You can imagine the rest. I am deeply ashamed of myself and have been trying to work out my failings in order to move on and be a better person, not only for my BS, if he'll have me, but also for my kids and myself. It is incredibly selfish of me to even ask him to but I honestly believe that we have the potential to build an amazing life together, an open, honest, loving life. Surely if he feels the same way, it is worth a shot. I know that I am the one that has to do the hard yards, and I am willing. And yes, I have asked myself what I would do if the tables were turned. Many times, in the last few weeks. 2 months later, my H handed me the papers. Now, as I sit here on my own, I can't help but feel a sense of regret and loss. I miss my husband and the life we had together. I regret the hurt I caused him and the way I tore our family apart. But as much as I wish I could go back and change things, I know that I can't. All I can do now is try to move forward, to learn from my mistakes, and to be a better person. I know that the road ahead will be tough, but I'm determined to find happiness and to make amends for my past actions. I hope that one day, my husband will be able to forgive me and that we can both find peace and healing. Until then, I'll keep trying to make things right, one day at a time. My comment: just leave and take some time to reflect on yourself. It's important to give both parties time and space to adjust to these changes and to seek support from loved ones. It can also be helpful to focus on taking care of yourself and setting new goals for the future. Story 2. The unboxing of this infidelity, the downside of it. I am European and English is not my native language, so please bear over with me for any misspellings or bad language. Anyway, here is my story. I know it's a long story, sorry about that. 8 months ago, I discovered my wife having a full-blown long-term affair, as bad as it gets, I would say. Of course, I was shocked. We had known each other for 26 years, have 2 kids aged 7 and 10. We were the perfect couple in many people's opinion, seemed so happy together, and we were. We were caring for each other, had a satisfactory bonding life, financially well-doing, etc. We went through D-Day and the following days following some sort of a typical pattern: mutual shock, denial, trickle truth, resentment, and remorse to some degree, fear, HB, and finally a depression for me. My wife justified the affair with the fact that she didn't ever try sleeping with anyone but me, since we were very young when we coupled. She wanted to learn how it was to sleep with another man, and she had thought about it for a while. She also blames shifted a bit by mentioning my weight getting worse, true, and I being distant because of a personal web project, true, and she was distant by watching TV shows that I didn't have any interest in, but this could have been handled if discussed. Then one day a male acquaintance from our kids' school started texting her with friendly messages, later on more and more flirting and finally erotic. She told me that she was flattered and very glad to learn that she is still attractive, and she is very attractive. They started to sleep together and the affair went on for 9 months. I found out by accident seeing a SMS from an unknown person popping up on her phone, saying "Sweetie." Investigating phone bills strengthened my suspicion and I demanded to see her FB account. She confessed under heavy pressure from me. She had a hard time the first time they had slept together, she said, very shy and reluctant to start with, but then it became easier and easier. It was not ever in her mind to leave me. She still loved me endlessly, she says. It was just like living in another world, she explained, and me and the kids just didn't exist in that world, compartmentalizing. Later on, she told me that she actually loved this guy, which explained a lot to me about the resistance in telling me the whole truth at once, trickle truth. I think she may have recognized that I would have left her immediately had I known this from the beginning, and I probably would have. But I have been told stories like, "It has absolutely nothing to do with you, you are my only love," or "Sleeping with you is just as good or even better." But these stories are so hard to believe when you have been cheated on like that. I had a minor to medium depression, with sadness, fear, anger, and tons of ups and downs. I couldn't concentrate at work and I also started having minor problems with performance as well, performance anxiety. This was about the same time as we went through the HB phase. She would continue her social activities on FB, SMS, etc., and I was a bit concerned about that. In fact, even angry from time to time. There were guys being called sweetie, etc., but she insisted on having her own life, and I guess that taking away her social life and flirting nature would result in me having a different woman than the one I initially fell in love with. I didn't want that to happen either. We even discussed the possibilities of living in an open relationship, since I accepted the fact that I wouldn't be able to stop her in thinking about sleeping with other men, and that there forever would be a considerable risk of her falling back in. 4 months ago, my wife then, as a part of these discussions, offered me a free pass. She had now spent 6 months trying to explain how it felt to be with someone else while still loving your spouse. And I just didn't get it. I couldn't relate to it in any way, and I had difficulties understanding her story. Further, as a result of her affair, my self-esteem totally vanished from one day to another. This unexpected consequence, diminishing my self-worth, was hurting her, I could tell. So, she decided to push me to get some extramarital bonding to see for myself what it was like, and to regain some confidence in myself. I told her that it would be okay with me if she saw on, but that she needed to be absolutely honest with me in relation to this and tell me if it went further than that. I started writing other women on dating and social networks and did also get contacts back. What a priceless feeling being recognized and appreciated by other women. I did also go out, twice, and I am so glad I did. I suddenly understood what my wife talked about earlier, and my self-esteem was boosted significantly. I now knew for sure that it actually had nothing to do with me not being good enough at all, and that I was quite able to get attention from other attractive women as well. And at the same time, I didn't stop to love my wife at all. On the contrary, not many women would actively support their husband in dating other women. My wife was well informed about my activities, and it became very clear to me that it was in fact very hard on her, and I think that for the first time, she realized how I had felt during the last 5 months. At the same time, OM moved to the other end of the country and told her that he wouldn't see her again. And when I told her that I might continue the activities and that I was still writing someone, she became extremely jealous. All of a sudden, things turned 180 degrees. Now the story is that my writing with and seeing other women have everything to do with her. She is not good enough. I will probably end up leaving her, etc. Well, what do you know? She now states that we should not date others, since it is not normal, whatever that means. She says that her desire for other men has vanished, that her need for bonding it reduced to a minimum, and that she can be 100% honest with me if she ever gets the desire for other men again. She says that she would prefer that I didn't see someone, but if I plan on doing it anyway, she would like to know and approve of it. If she chooses not to approve and I insist on following my desire disregarding her resistance, we will not be able to live together anymore, obviously. And she has shown to be very reluctant in discussing the matter anymore. I think that what I would prefer is that it was just the two of us in our relationship. But on the other hand, I don't think that I can rely on her never getting the desire for other men again. I don't think that I can trust that she will tell me either, since she would fear that I will either leave her or insist on having some strange myself, and she doesn't seem to like any of these outcomes. So, given these uncertainties, I am so much in doubt about what path to follow. Hope for her new monogamous lifestyle to last and take the fall if it doesn't. Wait for her to tell me in 6 months that she now desires another man, knowing that I had my opportunities and didn't act on them. Continue to work on the possibilities of having an open relationship lifestyle, which clearly means that we will both have to learn to handle jealousy. I don't know my wife, and I don't get to decide how she is going to live her life. I focus on myself, my well-being, and my actions. Did have some I see. I don't believe in control, punishment, revenge, and the alike. Does anyone have some thoughts and perspective on this situation? The trouble is, we do actually come along quite well fulfilling each other's needs, but it just seems that it is nice to get external recognition as well. Of course it is after 26 years. By the way, I don't look at myself as a cheater. I wouldn't dream of seeing others without telling her, if she wants to know, that is. Trust is the main problem, and that's why I chose to put myself in a position where I didn't need to trust her 100%. Nobody can, I realized. We're all human, and I can't control if she chooses to cheat or lie in the long run, no matter what. I don't like to be dependent on this for my life to be happy. This is in fact one of the things that I think a lot about and needed some thoughts on. I know that she had brief contacts with OM, I discovered some, and she told me about some herself. I am pretty sure that bonding stopped upon D-Day. Besides that, I think your analysis is pretty precise, like the one about one-sided open marriage. That's exactly how I felt. She renegotiated the terms of our relationship without telling me. Kids don't know and are not affected. Like I said, we do come along quite well, and, believe it or not, we still love each other. Otherwise, I don't think we would consider staying in this. I think I agree with you in most. What exactly do you mean by all conditions from before? I can't see what's to prevent her from doing it again either. We had quite an argument today, derived from another talk we had. So, we had this long discussion of the past 8 months, and then it suddenly hit me like a rock when she complained about how hard it is on her that I am suffering. How hard it is on her when we need to talk relationship stuff so often, and that it makes her sad. How hard it is on her that we just can't seem to move on. How hard it is on her when I can't trust her. I now know for sure that she may have said that the affair was her responsibility, but she didn't ever accept and act according to that responsibility. I sat there for 5 minutes answering all of her complaints with, "Don't put the blame on me. What can you do to help us get through this mess?" She suddenly became silent and then cried. I think she has finally realized that this isn't going to be easy, and that it can't be swept under the rug anymore. What's bugging me the most is that I can't trust her assessment of herself when she says that she will be completely open and honest should there be a next time. How can she be? She would expect one of two outcomes from her being honest about a desire. I would consider separation, or I start dating other women again. She doesn't want any of these outcomes, and the discussions would make her uncomfortable. So clearly lying and cheating would be a logic alternative for her, wouldn't it? Few months later, I am in the process of working on myself after my wife's long-term affair. It left me very frustrated, and my self-worth and esteem dropped to the floor almost instantly. I am, however, doing good rebuilding my self-esteem and trust in myself. I have learned that I can't change my wife and her views at things if she chooses not to. I have also learned to see things exactly for what they are instead of overanalyzing and getting frustrated. So, all focus is now on me. Next step is to decide how I want to live my life and whether that includes my WW or not. My question too is this: I have noticed a change in the way I look at my wife. More clear and more realistic. Before her affair, I could say without hesitation that I would have taken anything for her. This is not the case now. Likewise, I would have placed my life in her hands if necessary. This is definitely not the case now. To be honest, it scares me sometimes and I am not proud of it. Couple weeks later, 14 months past D-Day long-term affair and have been fighting like mad for my marriage. I love my wife despite our troubles, maybe somewhat dependent, I think. I have been working on myself physically and mentally, lost 35 pounds, in good shape, and I have realized that I have the power to change me, and that I can do absolutely nothing to change my wife, if she doesn't want to herself. I have become very good at seeing things the way they are and accept the things that I cannot change. She have the following issues left, I guess. She does not want to talk about feelings, relationship or her affair anymore, only seldom, from time to time and not without being visibly annoyed. She does not want I see for her. She says she has learned her lesson and won't do it again. Yet, she is not aware of the underlying reasons and personal traits that enabled her cheating. Disrespect. I heard her tell her FF that she is going through all this just for the children. We have two. What the hell? Nothing at all about loving me, etc. Now, yesterday late evening and night, we had an incident where she refused to talk. I took a walk, angry, and spent half the night speculating. What is it that I want from a relationship? Certainly not this. I need someone to talk about feelings with. And I need her to change in this matter in order to succeed. And yet she won't. So, I accept it, and must remove myself from this unsatisfying matter. I decided to divorce her. I would spend the weekend to clarify the process, possibilities and obstacles, kids, finances. But then, this morning she rushes to get some paper and writes me a letter in handwriting, saying that she is sorry about her reaction yesterday, and that she can't take another 14 months like this, talking and being reminded about her failure. That we are just different types, I want to talk, she doesn't, etc., and that I should consider if I can live with the person who hurt me this bad. But she also writes that she loves me, that she so much hope for us to be able to get through this and have a joyful life together, like we always had. It was the perfect marriage. I actually spend the day writing a long letter to her in which I explain my doubts about her motives. I also present to her my dream partner and ask her if she can be that woman. Question is, do I tell her that I actually decided for D now that I am not certain myself? It's just that I have been waiting for her to take some action for 14 months now. It's so frustrating, and I am so tired of keeping my guards up all the time wondering if she loves me or not. Just so tired and sad. It's just so not fun. Cheating isn't the best sign of love to begin with. I think we are starting to see the end of the rope. And yet, I still hope she'll cave in eventually, but probably not, I guess. But I can tell for sure that one of us will bail out very soon. I know I am starting to consider it an option for real for the first time in all these months. Well, I wrote my letter to her. I had a lot on my mind for her. I stated exactly what I need from a relationship and scored her on these needs, somewhat like his needs her needs template. I also tried to encourage some I see for her by asking fundamental questions about her motives and rationalizations. We started to talk about it late evening after the kids went to bed. It was pretty obvious that she had just read my letter briefly. It was bad and pretty ugly scene. I asked her if she was going to say something about my letter. She said, "I can't do this." Do what? I asked. Answer all these questions over and over again. You must believe that I love you. I know I screwed up. I have learned from it, and I will leave you before I cheat on you again. She told me that she had changed herself quite a bit and that I will have to respect that she doesn't move as fast in this manner as I do. I told her that that's exactly what is wrong. I don't know that she loves me since she has told her friend otherwise, and I don't know that she won't cheat again since she refuses to investigate her own feelings and rationalizations. When I asked her, for instance, exactly how she gave herself the permission to go all the way into the affair, she said the exact same thing as she did 14 months ago. I felt you had withdrawn and that there had become a distance between us. Equals blame shifting, in my opinion. I also asked her what she would say if I asked her to drop her friend back from school, the one she confessed to about being there just for the kids. She said that she would not accept that. Equals I am not her first priority, since a friend is more important. She tried to moderate that statement though into "You are definitely my first priority, but I would not accept you telling me who I can talk to and not talk to." I went for a long walk in the middle of the night to get a grip of myself. I was absolutely destroyed the following 2 days trying to deal with this. So, was she, by the way. Since the weekend, she has been really loving and caring, being the one trying to cheer us both up again. I think that I am back in normal mode again now. I have been thinking since yesterday about how to proceed this. Been reading the 4 agreements and have decided to. 1. I see for myself again with a new counselor. Will try to have my insurance cover it. I will try to get a new angle on this. 2. Work 100% on myself. Lose the remaining 20 pounds. Reach my goals in running. Focus on my small spare time business. Making websites for local businesses. I will gain from that no matter the outcome. She also tends to work more on us when she watches me grow and become more and more attractive. 3. Slowly detach myself from her so I can begin to act in a more independent way. That's also what I need. I see 4. Childhood issues. Maybe we are both dependent on each other. She was 15 when I met her. I was 18, so who knows? 4. She showed interest in a book I was reading about finding your inner strength. She mentioned that she might want to read it too. So maybe I just have to push her against I see in baby steps. 5. Then we will see. I am not sure I see a future for us, but I would also like to not make the mistake of my life by ending it just to learn that she actually did regret and did change her flirting and cheating mentality and behavior. So, strictly focus on me. I need to keep focus and be aware of my own feelings and reactions so I don't end up lying to myself. A month later, summer holidays are over for me now and batteries have been recharged. This is a bit difficult post for me to write, since English is not my native language. I find it hard at times to include the shades that can make the difference in substance, so bear with me. I have had 3 sessions now with a very skilled and intelligent psychologist, paid by my health insurance, and he actually managed to challenge me and my view on things, much more productive than me talking to a therapist, who are listening and mumbling. She did that okay. He definitely ruled depression out, which was why I was there, since I am very oriented towards solutions and improving myself and my situation. That's good, so I am just dealing with an existential life crisis. Nice to have a clinical label on me. He made me see that I have been thinking this infidelity circus backwards. I have focused on my wife's recent long-term affair, 9 months ended 15 months ago, and have searched for justification, signs etc. going backwards, while she was actually flirty already 27 years ago when I met her first, and she has confessed to a one-night stand 20 years ago on DD. The psychologist simply asked how do you think she managed to keep this a secret to you, not showing or telling you anything at all for 20 years. Do you really believe that this is out of her character? This made me realize that this is actually who she is and who she has been for 27 years. I have just been blinded by her beauty and joyful appearance, which was what I felt for in the first place. So, I know now for sure that unless she changes, this is who she was, who she is, and that she will cheat again in the future given the right circumstances and opportunity. Feels good and clarifying to write this. I still doubt her motives to be in the relationship, so does the psyche. He suggested to make a post up to minimize the damage should it happen again, and to call her out on her motives. I am a bit reluctant on this, doesn't feel quite right, but I am not discarding it just yet. How are things going at home? Well, we get along very well, as long as we don't talk relationship stuff. My wife is starting to plan long-term house repairs and improvements etc. I accept it if it improves estate value or it is something we can split should we separate. She does not have any male friend conversations online or offline that I know of. I still verify frequently as much as I can. She doesn't flirt anymore, does not see communities, chat forums or the alike, to my best knowledge that is. She is very loving and physical with me. I still doubt that she respects me, obviously, but we get by in a calm and nice manner. I work out, focus on my well-being, spending time with the kids, slowly regain some handy manpower and step up to reclaim my male power in our relationship. My feelings for my wife have changed. I don't love her the same way anymore. Her pedestal has been torn down and I do not imagine a rose-colored fairy tale anymore. And I am very confident now that I will manage if we separate. And maybe, had it not been for the kids, I would strongly consider moving on. But for now, I will see where things are heading. But holding my finger close to the trigger, I will definitely not put up with any more lies. That's a very clearly stated boundary. Not sure if I have left anything out, but it's a start. I actually think of it the opposite way. I am almost positive that she will screw up one day or decide to leave when the kids are grown up. But that will be her loss. I will be so ready to deal with it that she won't even know what eventually hit her. And I still reserve the right to walk out the door as of tomorrow. That would have been unthinkable 15 months ago. I realize that today. Too dependent, but that has definitely changed. I know now that I am a good husband, father and attractive to women up to 10 to 15 years younger than me. So, I am more confident now than before the affair. I earn more than twice her salary, which is quite okay. But I really wouldn't mind share our assets and debt. We both fought hard to get where we are today, mutual supporting each other, taking more hours during educations, etc. If I were to suggest a post-nup, it would be to call her out on her motives to be with me, because that is what is bothering me the most. It would be nice to know that the love she shows, and she does, is genuine. My psychologist suggested that I should make a post-nup with my wife. He said with two purposes in mind. 1. Ensure that I won't get double screwed if my wife cheats again. 2. Call her out on her motives to stay with me. She tells me that she loves me and wants to grow old with me, but to her toxic friend she says that if it wasn't for the kids, she would have left. So, I obviously have my doubts about her motives. One could argue that motives doesn't matter as long as I feel I am being loved, and she is loving. But I think it would be a lot better to be loved for the right reasons. I consider this suggestion on the post-nuptial agreement, but it just ring yes. For me either. I know that I would be reluctant if I were presented with a legal contract on our love life. We have always had shared economy under the assumption that we would grow old together, so all the legal stuff wouldn't be relevant. Yeah, that's what I thought, naive as I was. A month later, my wife tells me that she probably didn't respect me before, but that she does respect me now, since I've changed so much. I don't know if I can or should believe that, but I really don't think much about it either. She can stay if she wants to, if not, she can leave. I'll be just fine in any case. I don't think I realized this during the first many months past D-Day. For myself, I can recognize the distinction between respecting her as a person, which I do, but not respecting her choices and ways of mending broken connections and trust. All in all, I'm in a much better place now, no blinders, seeing real life for what it is, which is not the fairy tale. Very good at taking care of my own business and letting others take care of their own. Personal growth, I'd like to believe. My comment: I don't understand the point of gaining respect from your cheating wife. Why does an OP gain respect from a non-cheating woman? Some people here comment it's a doormat behavior, but I believe there is something more. It is a codependency mixed with being too comfortable with your old relationship. And this was not even a one-time thing, it was a long-term affair. Some people just can't be helped. Comment down below if you agree, sub and tell me which story you liked better, and I will be back with another one.